Greetings everybody. Today's video has been long anticipated. I don't know if y'all recall, but about 6 months ago I purchased a 6.5 CarCAno carbine off of RTI Imports, and I received it in pretty much in pieces. And 6 months later, and lots of searching eBay and collecting parts, because they don't remanufacture any of these parts. So 6 months later, lots of much more money than I'd like to admit spent. Here we are. So today's the day. It's going together. I'm excited. Let's get to it. Alright, so this is what we're working with today. This is the new stock that I purchased. I made a previous video on all the parts and whatnot. So I got everything ready to go back together. Just a few things that I'm gonna need. I got a 3-pack of steel, brass, and nylon brushes from Harbor Freight. You're gonna want some 3-in-1 oil and some degreaser. In this case, this is probably one of the only times I would recommend using brake cleaner. Normally you just want to use a regular gun degreaser, but in this case I'll show you why it's okay. And then the buttstock plate, the hand guard. This piece is hard to find, and unfortunately I was only able to get 1 out of the 2 screws, but that's very common. But I've got an idea for that. I'll show y'all what I'm talking about. Alright, so I'm going to start with the easy part, just because I'm literally doing this for the first time. So the hardware for this is obviously over 100 years old, so I have this comically big screwdriver for a reason. I don't know if you can see, but the slits on that are pretty wide, so you want your screwdriver to fit in perfectly. You don't want there to be, oh, see, this one's too tight. Oh, that's weird. Oh, it's these two. Alright, so you see how that fits in there perfectly? There's no wiggle. Same with this one. Fits in there perfectly, no wiggle. Because these old hardware, they strip out really easily. So if you were to use a smaller screwdriver, I guarantee you'd end up rounding it over, and then not only does it look bad, it can cut you, and it's not very proper. So just get the proper size screwdriver. So I'm going to start with the butt plate with the trap door. Trap door still works. Very simple mechanism. You can see it's just a tab of steel, and there's no spring in it or nothing. It just all clicks together. Very low tech, but good at the same time. Alright, so that fits in very nice. I'm just gonna hand tighten this stuff at first. Okay, get my comically big screwdriver, just very slowly tighten it up. Now this would obviously be a lot better to do in a vise. Okay. Okay, first piece on. I don't have any fingernails, so I can't get that open now, but I'm not even sure what goes in there. If anyone knows in the comments, could you please let me know what actually goes in that trapdoor? Alright, so next, we're going to put this aside for now. Next, we're going to put the upper receiver together. So, I'm going to want to bust out the brass one. This is a 3-pack. Comes with nylon, brass, and steel. You always want to use brass when you're working with steel because the brass is softer than the steel, so it won't scratch your steel. So I think this was about $5 at Harbor Freight. Now these aren't going to last super long, but I mean, I don't hardly ever use these for anything besides gun cleaning, so these will last me forever. Okay, so we're going to want to get our barrel and our upper receiver / trigger. And this part, the threads are already clean, as you can see. Whoever had this took really good care of it. Thank you, random eBay person. So this side, however, I'm sure you can kind of see I left it dirty just so I can show you guys how to clean it properly. So this is the part that I said that would be okay to use brake clean on. So normally you don't want to use brake clean on any type of like alloy metals or any type of stuff like that, but in this case I think it'll be just fine. I'm just trying to degrease and get all the junk out of those threads. So I'm going to spray the brake cleaner into the thread area here to get all the grease to break down, and then I'm going to take one of 2 of my brass brushes here and I'm going to just sweep out all of the garbage that's in the threads. So I'm going to do that. I'll be right back. Okay, so just to show you on the brake clean, just want to be very liberal. Just a couple little squirts and then start scrubbing. Alright, so as you can see, I'm just working the brush around to get all the junk out of the threads. Do that a few times, then I'll pull it out and wipe down any remaining residue that's inside with paper towels or whatever microfiber you use. Alright, that took a little longer than I expected. So these threads are actually so wide, I was able to get the screwdriver right in between and clean them all out nice. So I took the opportunity, because this part hasn't been off of the other barrel for over 100 years, so I was able to get all that dirt and junk out of there. So I guess that's another tip. If once you get things apart, you might as well clean them, because once it's put back together, you might not be able to access it again. So anyways, now you're going to want to grab your 3-in-1 oil, and I'm just going to lightly oil the inside of these threads so that way it doesn't rust on. And same thing with the threads on the barrel. I'm going to lightly oil them before I screw it in. So this is something you could use that nylon brush for if you wanted. You could scrub in all of the oil with the nylon brush, but in this case, just use the brass one. Alright, so now that the oil's all evenly distributed, you're going to want to slowly and very carefully make sure that you get these threads on properly and that they're not cross-threaded, because you do not want to have to rethread this. I mean, this whole thing would probably just be junk. So that's why, another reason why you want the oil on. Helps spin it easily. And obviously you got to finish with the trigger on bottom, so it's not going to do you any good to have the trigger on top. Alright, it's starting to get a little tough. I'm probably going to have to bring this out to the garage and put it on the vise just to really clamp it down. So I'm gonna go do that, and I will be right back. All right, so that was way harder than I would have liked it to have been. And you can add a bench vise to the list of money I've spent. My stepdad and I literally just broke our bench vise. And it wasn't a small bench vise either. But as you can see, I was able to get it on, and I couldn't get it the last very little bit, so I might be stuck with a crooked trigger, but that might be something I have to live with, because I had the barrel as tight as it could possibly be in the bench vise, and I had my barrel wrench. I literally bent the Allen wrench screws on this. I tightened it so much. So these two pieces cannot physically go any tighter. Well, I can't get them to go any physically tighter. So hopefully it fits nicely, and it looks relatively lined up, but I think it could go a hair more. But it is what it is, folks. Nothing's perfect in life. You didn't think you were getting a life lesson today, huh? All right, so we want to put our upper receiver that's now together into our stock that we previously prepared. Okay, so that fits in pretty nicely. So next thing you want to do is put this piece on along with the upper hand guard. All right, so you actually want to put the trigger assembly on first, and I'll show you why. Because this screw right here goes all the way through here and out to the top, and it holds the upper receiver in place so you can get this other piece right here on. Because otherwise, if you try to put this piece on first, it pushes the upper receiver back. So this is probably the most important screw on the whole rifle. So got my comically big screwdriver again, because we don't want to strip this screw out. That's the last thing we want to do, is strip the screw out. I'm gonna have to go to my local hardware store. I'm obviously not gonna be able to find the same screw, but I will find something similar for the front, because I don't want to just leave that. I don't want to just leave that unscrewed, you know. All right. It appears it's not lining up. I don't think that's going in. Nope, it's not going in. All right, so it's not lined up properly. Looks like it is. Oh, that's too big. All right, bear with me, folks. Let me get this in. All right, so that took a lot longer than I thought. So what I ended up having to do was, this upper hand guard right here wouldn't fit. So you can see where I had to cut with the jigsaw. I had to cut in and relief cut for that upper hand guard, because I really wanted to get that piece on there. Otherwise, it doesn't hold itself together properly. This piece right here is very important, and especially while missing this screw. And I jinxed myself, y'all. I said, you really don't want to strip this screw. Well, guess what happened? These old screws, the soft metal, and I mean, I ended up having to use a pair of vice grips and the screwdriver at the same time to, it was just a little tough spot that once I got through it, it went in fine, but yeah, I wasn't able to get it perfectly. So all that's left is to put the bolt in. The bayonet folds down like it should, unlike the last one I had where it would just rattle around everywhere. So as you can see, this has the little lug for the sling, and then put the other end there. So this one will actually have a sling. So now is the most anticipated part. I'm going to lube this bolt back in. I'm going to lube this bolt and put it back in, and it should be ready. Should be slinging 6.5 by 52s in no time. So you just want to lightly coat the bolt. You don't want to have too much oil, but you want to have just enough. So lightly apply that. Alright, you gotta pull the trigger to get it in. Bam. There we go, folks. Our completely rebuilt CarCAno. She's mighty good looking, isn't she? Got the complete butt plate, the new stock. The only piece that's original is the bolt and this upper receiver part. I got a completely new barrel, new bayonet, new sights. We actually have sights this time. See, I got the front sight post right there, and the rear sight post actually, it actually works. So it stays. You know, I gotta figure out what the corresponding numbers mean, but you push this side in and then that moves up and then it'll go back down. There it goes. So everything on this rifle is very mechanical. There's no like springs really. There's, you know, this you just push it to the side and move it where you want it and push it back. It's very simple. Same thing with the trap door. It's very, very simple. So there you got it, folks. Perfectly serviceable rifle, 6.5 CarCAno. So I'll see y'all at the shooting range where we can test this out next time. I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks for joining us. If you've stuck around this long, please subscribe. We've got 111 subscribers. Good job. I want to get that subscriber number up there. So thanks again, folks, and we'll see you next time on Gunverse.